Yes, it is. It is me here on a Monday afternoon after the week of last week, which was the week of Joe just not feeling great. I was overcommitted. I was not managing my energy well. I was not managing my calendar well. I tried to be in two places at once, and it just was one of those weeks where I just couldn't get it together. But I'm back and I'm live, and I am feeling much, much better today. I was in such a funk last week. It was really quite alarming for a little while. And there's reasons for my funkiness, which I'm not going to go into now. We're all okay, but there was just reasons for the funkiness. And I didn't have bad self-talk going on. I was looking after my nutrition and I was sleeping really well. So I was like a bit confused. But one of the things I have learnt about how to break myself out of a funk is to practice kindness and generosity. I practice gratitude every day, and I did actually get back to the point last week where I was thankful for things like my pillows, thankful that the house wasn't burning down in a fire, thankful that my husband did the grocery shopping. Hello to the people who have turned up. I can't quite see who you are, so thank you for going, oh, she's on, let's go watch. So my gratitude skills really had to dig deep to find the things to be grateful for, which is pretty much a sign that I was feeling a little less hopeful than I normally would like. But it wasn't helping me get out of my funkiness. And then I started to notice the people around me and notice that there were elderly people struggling to get out of their cars. People were dropping things on pavements. People were struggling to get into a door with keys and having all these packages in their hands. And I just started asking if I could help. Like, there was this gorgeous lady in a car park who I seriously don't know how she was driving given the lack of mobility in her legs, but that's a whole conversation for another day. Actually, that would be a ranty conversation, but she was really struggling to swivel herself out so that she could put both feet on the ground so she could use the car door so she could stand up straight. Then she was going to hobble around the side of the car, open up her boot and pull out her walker. So I noticed this was going on, and I just asked her if I could help her. And once she got over the fact that I wasn't going to rob her or do anything nasty to her and I was genuinely desiring to help her, she actually let me help her. And then we ended up having this great conversation. And then there was people with kids, and kids are screaming and packages and trying to get into cars. So I'm just like, can I hold the packages while you get into your car? And I had noticed that since I started doing those simple things, it got me out of my funk, because it forced me to focus on others. Oh, I am sure I am not the first person to come up with this. I am sure there's many, many books written about this. I'm sure kindness and looking out for others is at the foundation of every spiritual practice and religious practice known to mankind. I'm just letting you know how I got out of my funkiness last week. There you go. So I think that there are lots of ways we can look to be kind and to be generous. That doesn't mean we're spending lots of money on people. I think at this time of year, when there is this incredibly high level of anxiety around the end of the year anyway, it doesn't take much for us to demonstrate kindness and really interrupt people's thought patterns, interrupt people's experience of people, while also getting some blessing and in return for our own graciousness of action. Just, the fact that people say thank you kind of makes you feel good about yourself. Possibly some more thoughts in there. But I did want to talk into something today around branding, which is an interesting thing for me to talk about. And I want to help people understand that branding is so much more than your pretty pictures and your consistent font and your color scheme and your Instagram grid being all consistent and which headshot you've chosen. Those are elements of your branding, and something that is getting lost in this branding discussion is a focus on logo and this constant focus on which WordPress theme, or even if you should be using WordPress. And that is to understand that your branding is how people experience you. So your branding is not just how you look online. It's not just about whether or not you have a picture of yourself on your business card. It's not whether or not you've got great lighting or the right pot plants. Your branding is the sum total of all of those things about you and your business and your team and your staff that people get to experience. So your branding also turns up in how you respond to other people and how you respond when you're cranky and you're stressed, or when somebody's made a complaint, or when you need to complain. When people ask you, how can you help me? One of the worst branding experiences any of us can deliver is when somebody says, well, what do you do and how can you help me? Is when we become all shy and uncertain and underconfident. And people go, what is that? She obviously doesn't agree with what it is that she does, or she doesn't know how to articulate, and they shut off really quickly. And the message we've given them is we can't be trusted. They don't know how to trust us. So in this period of time, we've got 2 weeks until the end of the year. Yes, I had a little conniption over that. Well, I've got 2 weeks left until the end of the working year. Hurrah. So I've got an awesome boss. I know her really well. She's just awesome. My question to you is, in this last 2 weeks, or however long it is that you're going to be working for the rest of 2019, because next year it's 2020, get ready to start making that mistake in your notes. How do you want people to experience you? What is it about you, your team, your business, the way you do business, the way you respond in emails, the way you answer the phone, for those of you who still use the telephone, the way you turn up at meetings? What is it you want people to be experiencing about your brand? How are you incorporate the elements of trustworthiness and authenticity and integrity and all these common words we use to describe ourselves, which end up being really meaningless if we don't have behaviors ascribed to them? So there's a challenge for you, because it's really challenged me in the last week, because how I turned up last week is not how I want to be turning up. So I'm being quite intentional about how I want to behave, how I want to turn up, and the number one priority for me in this next 2 weeks. And I can show you, I had this massive master list of all the things that I haven't done this year that I had somehow thought was going to actually get done in the next 2 weeks. It's not. It's not getting done. In fact, it's now being parked to the let's return in 2020 and see if any of this is still relevant. And all I want to focus on for the next 2 weeks is serving my people well. I want to serve all my people with excellence. And when I say my people, I mean my clients, my customers, my team members, my husband, my son, he comes home next week. I want to serve my people with excellence. I want them to know that I care, that I genuinely care, that I've got their back, and that we are going to make 2020 an awesome year. Because if that was the impression they got from last week, then God help me, because I doubt that's the impression I had left with anyone. So there you go. The World According to Joe, and this is Private Practice for this Monday afternoon. Welcome to a brand new week for those of you playing along, and I am looking forward to being a little bit more consistent this week, although I will be in Melbourne probably this time tomorrow and Wednesday, and on my way back on Thursday. So we'll see how we go. But I'm going to take my sippy cup, and we'll have the adventures of Joanne's sippy cup while she's in Melbourne for the rest of this week. But until I am back here, go be your awesome self.